Hello, this is Steve. Thanks for watching a quick video. This is kind of the story of Medicare. I'll try to make this brief and kind of maybe hope to tell you what we may be able to do to help you in some transitions in your life. Okay? Number one, I'm from Roanoke, graduated from Northside High School in Roanoke and was in banking for about 15 years. I did commercial loans, mortgage loans, and then moved out from banking and taught for a year. I realized real quick, I'm not a teacher, taught junior high students, kind of a trial by fire. I learned much more than they did. I'm not sure they learned anything, but I learned quite a bit. Don't do it again. And then I started working in Medicare. And the reason how that happened is at the time I left teaching, literally no one was hiring. I could find one company that was hiring, and it was in health insurance, and it was in Medicare. I'm like, Medicare? What is that? Like, this sounds so boring. Who wants to do this? This is a horrible idea. Got into it, realized it was actually pretty fun, pretty cool. A lot of people needed help, a lot of questions. A lot of people had no idea where to go. They don't know who to call. They don't know who, their friends may give them some advice that worked for them, but it may be different for their situation. Many times, I've had conversations with people that have been on Google for days. They watched dozens of hours of videos, and now they're more confused than they were. 15 minutes after conversation with me, typically they know what direction to go into, or they at least know things that will not work. As I started working for the insurance company, I was in telesales. So I worked over the telephone, helped a lot of people over the phone, all different states. In fact, just for fun, I used to work for this company, First Union. I found the name tag, so I thought, you know what, might as well show it. But when I started working for health insurance, I realized the need was pretty severe. Not a lot of people knew what they were doing, knew where to go, knew who to call. They see an 800 number, they call it. And unfortunately, what happens now is you call an 800 number, and a lot of times you don't know what's going to happen. They may enroll you into a plan. They may not enroll you into a plan when they said they did. A lot of fraud is happening, and I realized that there's got to be a better way. So I started working for this company outside of a call center in what's called the field. So I was working with individuals that would call me and ask for help. Worked great, but I could only write from that particular insurance company. So everybody's situation had to fit into what they had to offer. That wasn't a feel good for me because a lot of people I couldn't help. And so after a while, I became an independent agent and started MeadorCare in 2022, at the end of 2022, really 2023. Have helped a lot of people since then, and I've come to find out that a number of people will have questions now on Medicare, and then as life progresses, those questions will change, those needs will change. And a lot of people will go with just, I have an Advantage plan or I have a supplement plan, that's all I need. That really doesn't work that well. We really need to add other things onto that. I kind of like bundling. So with a supplement, you're going to need to add a dental plan. With an Advantage plan, you always look at adding a hospital indemnity or cancer, heart attack, stroke, something like that, to fill in some of the holes, because as time goes on, those holes in a Medicare plan typically get bigger. So we have to do something to fix it that we may not have had to do 5 years ago. However, after working with Medicare recipients, I kept running into the same situation. I have spouse A that's retiring and going on Medicare and losing their group plan. Spouse B was still working or under 65, did not have Medicare. And a lot of times I was like, I don't know what to do. You're just gonna have to find a plan. And then I started realizing these people need a Marketplace plan. I started working with the Marketplace. Probably, I would say the latter part of 2023. Found out there are a lot of people that don't have really any clue. At least if you're on Medicare and you hit 65, you at least know it's coming. You'll hear it, they'll send you letters. If you're working for a company, or if your spouse is working for a company and that ends, your insurance ends, and you may not see that coming at all. And so what do you do at that point? A lot of people have no clue, and that's where I step in. Marketplace transitions aren't that difficult to do at all. They're pretty simple. Normally, again, 15, 20-minute phone call, we get an application submitted, pretty simple to do. However, some people still have questions, and just to kind of backtrack a little bit, my approach is always agnostic. I don't care what company you go with, what plan you go with. That's on you. I'm here to kind of tell you what happens, how it works. The plan you pick is your choice, and will always respect that. I may give you some feedback. I may kind of let you know these are the consequences going in path A or path B, but it's your path, and I'm here to help you. And if it doesn't work, then we'll pivot and try something that does. But that's always been my approach. I'm fairly simple to work with. And another thing I found out in insurance in general, somebody has to be able to answer your phone calls. If you've got a question, somebody needs to answer that text. Somebody needs to answer that phone call. And you don't want to rely on 800 numbers, because 800 numbers, you never know what kind of the quality control. A lot of 800 numbers is just kind of lacking. They'll have new agents on the phone and they'll tell you something that's just not true. Even sometimes with some government organizations, information you get is, so you kind of need somebody that has some experience, knows how the system works, and if they don't know how to answer your question, they can at least find the resource that does. That's where we come in. You can write your own plan, you can file your own lawsuit, you can write your own will. You don't have to have an agent. The reason an agent is here is to be available for you if you have questions. That's where we come in. That's where we'd like to work with you. If you give us a scenario, we may not be able to give you the best scenario possible, but we will go over all the ones that exist, try to narrow it down to find A or B, which do you prefer, instead of having 300 choices. So if I can be of assistance, I'd love to talk to you further. Easy way to remember my name, Insurance is Better with Steve Meador. Feel free to give me a call or text if you have any questions. My number is 540-501-6767. It's been a fun time spending with you. If you have any questions, I'd love to talk to you further. Have a great day. Goodbye.